And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Is sex in your travel itinerary? It's one of the travel goals for a community called the Passport Bros, meaning brothers. It's a traveling community of upwardly mobile black men. Some are accused of going around the world searching for a more traditional and submissive wife. But is it all about sex and just a girlfriend for hire and then return home to humiliate black women in America? That's the controversy that we're dealing with. One of its members, Austin Holman, is apologizing for comments that he made about Brazilian women. Take a listen.
What I meant by when I said that Brazilian women are easy, and I shouldn't use the word easy. I know that now. I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is, for a man that's well-mannered, well-dressed, that has put in the effort to raise himself, he will have an easier time in Brazil, as opposed to where I was from. That wasn't always the case.
Both American and women around the world are speaking out against the Passport Bros, arguing these guys are using their status to take advantage of women and even calling it a form of sex tourism and sex trafficking. Let's talk about it. Communications specialist Priscilla Pack and
All right, y'all. I was this close to letting it go, right? I put out my last video and I was talking about, man, be careful what you post for the clicks and views. You know, just be mindful of the content you put out, because regardless, you're going against the machine always wins. And my boy commented, he was like, yeah, man, even though that girl, Stephanie, whatever her name was, got destroyed, it don't really matter. They're going to push the narrative that they want. That's where I was about to leave it. That's where it was about to be dead. But the email chain gang, right? I was chilling. I get an email and they send me an article, clip, this YouTube clip. I'm gonna post in the description there below, about the homie Austin Holloman being covered on Fox 26 in Houston, right? And I said, here we go again, right? Here we go again. I was about to let it go because, right, I said I figured it'll blow over eventually, man. They'll let it go or whatever. But now it's covered on national news. Not national news, but state news, city news, whatever you want to call it, here in the United States. Now it's starting to become a bigger deal all over again, right? But then as I started to watch the show, it was very hard for me to take it serious, right? Now let me tell you why. Because the dude Isaiah, whatever his last name is, I remember this dude because this dude went viral for a video where he was in the country cussing his shit.
It happened on that Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death.
The fuck is that? Shit! I'm dying in this fucking country ass fucked up town. Shit flying in my mouth. The fuck? I can't see pollen. Let's get the fuck out of this country, motherfucker. I can't see where.
Yo, it was the greatest video of all time. And then after I saw the young ladies that were being interviewed, I was like, come on, y'all. You already know they gonna just throw it under the bus, man, period. There ain't gonna be no talking points that will be favorable towards any passport dude or whatever, right? And as I was watching it, and I watched it played out, and as much of it as I possibly could stomach, you know, I was like, the girl did say one thing that I actually agreed with, and this is something that I've been saying for a while, right? Most of these girls don't care that we go overseas, right? I can honestly tell you, most of them don't care. And that's a good thing, right? Because I feel like everybody, like you said, love who you love, deal with who you want to deal with, keep it pushing, right? But it's only when you start to become loud with it and you start to talk a lot about it and you start to do all this extra shit with it and you got to tell everybody how everybody else is horrible and these women are perfect. And when we start having those particular types of conversations and narrative, that's only when people start to feel the necessity to chime in.
People grew up in survival mode and maybe they just in a whole nother dimension of trying to find love or trying to find easy situations and everything. But at the same time, it was like, why do you have to put down the thing that you don't like in front of everybody just to get the thing that you do want? I don't care.
Right? And somebody made a video the other day, and I just wanted to give my thoughts on this one, right? I just want to give my thoughts on this, right? because I think it's important. And unless you can show me otherwise that this has been posted in one way, shape, or form, I kind of feel like this is the reason why white passport guys don't get as much hate as black passport men, right? Because the white guys, they may go to the country, they may put out the videos, the same types of videos that Austin puts out, but yet and still these guys, if they are, it's few and far between in comparison to, you know, your black passport brethren. They don't really put out a lot of videos downing women in the West. If they do, they may say it in passing, but I've never seen them go as hard at it as I've seen my fellow brethren do. So if we are gonna understand the reason why white guys can probably get away with putting out the exact same content as black dudes do and whatever, yeah, it may be more eyes on the black dude, of course, number one, because of what's being done. But also you gotta understand there's a lot of talk that comes with the content that comes out as well. Yeah, look at me dealing with these badass women in this particular country. Y'all ain't shit. Y'all well offense or whatever the fuck. And, you know, there's a lot of other, you know, talking points that come with it. I don't really hear a lot of that coming from the white dudes. They just put out the content. They just keep it pushing. Even though the content is damn near the same, they're probably not worried so much about canceling them or trying to get at them, you know, maybe for other reasons as well. But I do believe they don't really go off on a tangent and start talking a gang of shit about, you know, women in the West and stuff like that. If they do, it's not as intense as you will likely find with, you know, people who look like me. Anyways, going back to the video, I don't really want to review the video. I just want to talk about the fact that they're now talking about it on, you know, here on US soil, and they're now starting to put the passport bro name under the bus, under fire and all of that shit. In my personal opinion, do I believe it's going to stop us from traveling? No. Do I believe that we should move differently? Absolutely. I will say it all the time until I'm blue in the face. I understand. I said I was done with this, but I can't let it slide. I understand the need to defend your points, to defend your stances. I got that. I'm good with that. I understand the itchy, twitching feeling you get to try to prove other people wrong. But sometimes, is it really worth the battle? Is it really worth the conflict with people? If you're already winning, is it really worth it for you to go back and forth with people, right? The white guys, I do believe that for the majority of them, they already know they're winning. They're already overseas. They're already dealing with the women they want to. You just don't hear them going tit for tat like that with women in the West. They just don't. Again, maybe they don't receive as much hate probably as a black guy would, if that's how you want to see it, and that's why black guys get hated on more. But then again, there's more of a constant need to have that constant butting of heads between you and women in the West on a consistent basis to try to show them that you're winning and that you're right and that you're doing this and that you're doing that, and they just wish that they could do this and they are losing all the good men. You feel the constant need to reiterate those points, right? But in reality, I don't see the point anymore, right? You speak your truth, you keep it pushing. You speak your truth and keep it pushing. You don't need to go back and forth. You don't need to post about them or anything like that, because when it starts to become super negative, like the girl said, I see, that's what I was saying. I'm like, yo, when it starts to become negative, that's when everybody starts to pay attention. And again, if you were doing it for the clicks and views and doing it for people to put eyes on your channel, good, bad, or indifferent, then you successfully accomplished that. But now you have to be able to deal with the ramifications of said action, i.e., in the example of the homie Austin Holloman having to leave Brazil to go to Thailand. That's where he is now. But I want you to understand, I know this probably eats away at him more than you'll ever know, right? I think that he may not say it, but from somebody who's on the outside looking in, it's not so much what I see in the videos, but it's the amount of energy put towards an investment in Brazil, right? Learning to speak Portuguese. Where the fuck else are you gonna go where you're gonna speak Portuguese? That you're probably not considered, I don't want to say a target, it's not the best word to use, but where you're not really being looked at. Where else are you gonna go in the world where you can speak Portuguese? Probably nowhere, right? So you learn to speak an entire language, or you were learning to speak an entire language. Now it's basically all that time spent learning it has basically become useless because chances are, who knows when you're going to be able to actually utilize it again, right? Now he may trend towards learning to speak the Thai language or whatever the fuck, you get it, right? So whether you show it or not, to an extent, I know it eats away at you. I can tell you the truth. I love the Philippines, y'all. This is me. This is the good doc speaking for himself. I love the Philippines, right? Been there for a long time, spent a lot of time there. Got a large network. I built pretty good over there. I had a great time, great experiences, great people. And yes, if they said, Doc, you can no longer come to the Philippines, it would hurt me. But in reality, if it's not the Philippines, there's always another place to go. That's just my mindset. Because you just have to understand, if you have to pick them and leave for whatever reason, maybe something's going on in a country that isn't quite suitable for you as the foreign Jermaine, you got to pick up and move, right? You got to be able to be willing to move on a whim. So I put that in my mind. But when the move is forced upon you and it wasn't something that you really wanted, you got to understand that's going to always hit you different, right? Because you didn't make that decision. It felt as though that decision was made for you. So do I believe it hurt him? Yes. Do I believe it'll probably sting a little bit? Absolutely. Do I believe that it didn't stop him? As you can see, continue on in another country, keeping it pushing. But when you start attaching passport bros with trigger words like sex trafficking, sex trafficking, is that what it is? Or some shit like that, or promoting prostitution and all of that shit. Now all of a sudden anybody who wants to be a part of the movement, again, if you stand 10 toes down, you believe in it, you keep it pushing, you keep it rocking, you're good. But there's always gonna be those people where, goddamn, man, I do not feel like I want to have to constantly defend the reasons why I travel, because everybody's gonna try to lump you into one big ass group, right? And you gotta understand there's levels to this shit. A lot of people don't know, but there's levels to this passport shit. And to be honest, there were quite a few of us that were traveling before the social media movement of Passport Brethren came about. So although we believe in the philosophies and the fundamental base of what the logic behind the movement is, a lot of people move a little bit different when it comes to their understanding of what the movement is all about, right? But everybody's gonna run with the most negative story about the guys. Not looking for love, not looking for wives, promoting sexual promiscuity and all of this shit and prostitution and shit. But again, I can't relate. I rock with the movement, but you can talk all that shit that you want to, but I can't relate. And I got the receipts. And nobody can really say shit about me from that regard because A, I met my wife in the Philippines. B, I married my wife. And C, she's here with me in the United States. So everything that you say about what Passport Brethren do, that don't apply to me. So that's why everything that they say, I'm like, shit, okay, right? And I could brush it off easy. But for other guys who may feel the need to defend the stances and all of that shit, it may be a little bit difficult for those guys to just let shit go. So for me, guys, I had to just get this one off my chest. I'm sorry that I had to keep putting out this video. I don't want to continue to focus on the negative aspect of things because that's not who we are. That's not what we represent as the Dr. Mike TV channel and associates and affiliates, man. We just want to keep it rocking in a positive direction. But sometimes you have to address what has happened and utilize it as a learning lesson for all of the future guys that are looking to be a part of something, right? All the future guys that are looking to get into content creation, all of the future guys that are looking to do and make moves and waves the way that they want to. You gotta understand, this right here is literally a learning lesson. Sometimes it's just not worth it to try to fight against the machine. Just move how you wanna move, keep it cool, get all the girls that you want, if that's your philosophy of life, live your best life. And keep it pushing. Show the receipts through the videos, but do not in any way, shape, or form mention the ops. AKA don't mention the opposition. And y'all already know who the opposition is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not gonna waste your time anymore, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with the Good Doc. If you have not already gotten you some of the merch store, I linked it to the community tab. If you go over to my main page and you scroll over to the store button, it's over there. They should be below my video, but sometimes they don't show. Bullshit. Good Docs, Good Books, description there below. Appreciate y'all locking in. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. We on to the next one. Hopefully this will be the last one. Y'all take care, man. Y'all stay blessed, man. Doc's out.